Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to the NYChampionships Chinese Qualifier. This is still the group stage portion of the competition, and this is Hyperglory Team versus CDEC Youth. We've got two CDEC Youth games coming your way tonight here on BTS1, and for anybody looking for FTDB versus DK and FTDB versus BH, then that is over on BTS2, and I believe Cyclops is casting tonight. So, as far as the overall standings go for now, over here in Group A, we've got FD Club at the top with 2-1, CDEC Youth in this game 1-0, and Hyperglory Team currently winless so far, but with only the one game, so a 0-1 scoreline overall for them. And we're once again moving through the draft pretty quickly. Looks like both teams have a solid idea of what they want going into this. So we're going to see Lesh, Gyro, and Tusk removed. Bounty Hunter's going to sneak through, so it looks like Hyperglory Team going to be snagging that for themselves, and CDEC Youth going for a very familiar 1-2 punch that I believe that we even saw in the previous series that was a couple of hours ago of the Earthshaker and the Queen of Pain. So I think pretty happy to have the Queen of Pain. Is a hero that is a little bit more difficult for Bounty Hunter to put pressure on in the mid lane, so always good from that perspective, and kind of holds their own in general against most of the current mids. So looks like CDEC Youth, I think they're feeling pretty happy with what they've got so far. Hyperglory Team, well, they took the obvious Bounty Hunter, but now they've got decisions to make. I think if you're CDEC Youth and you're looking to try and counter out this Bounty Hunter as much as you possibly can, you're looking to try and 5-man a little bit more, avoid any kind of track pickoffs. The sort of pub counter at the moment seems to be people picking up Abaddon and running around dispelling tracks whenever they can using the Aphotic Shield. That might be a little bit difficult to pull off this game, especially if they want to keep up the option of having a support Earthshaker, but again, that decision can stay. Well, that decision can stay up until a little bit later on in the draft. So Hyperglory Team do have to kind of decide what exactly they're going to be planning here. And well, they're just going to pick up a little bit of a combo of their own. Get the Darkseer Bounty Hunter. Again, we don't really see a heck of a lot of offlane Bounty Hunter at the moment. Just does tend to be that sort of roaming 4 position. And the Bounty Hunter with an Ion Shell can be a pretty big nuisance, especially if the Earthshaker ends up being as a support. That is going to weaken CDEC Youth's defensive lane pretty substantially. So, what else have we got going on? Phantom Lancer is the ban out. So, again, nobody really letting the Gyrocopter or the Phantom Lancer through into the pool. And what is the plan going to be here for CDEC? So, Anti-Mage, of course, is a very popular hero up against the Darkseer. It gives them a pretty hard time in lane, can help overcome the weaknesses of having sort of poor supports or poor laning supports, just because the Anti-Mage versus Darkseer is a it's not an easy 1v1 necessarily, but with just a little bit of help, I think the Anti-Mage does just fine. So, yeah, Hyperglory Team just going to have to ban that one out. And so what remains to be seen is if they're going to get enough value out of this Darkseer to justify having to spend, well, not necessarily having to spend both of their bans on making sure that the Darkseer is going to be okay, but looks like they just want to try and make sure that CDEC defensive lane is as weak as they can possibly make it. The one thing that they need to be careful of, I think, is that the Queen of Pain could just be the solo safe lane or safe lane farming hero for CDEC, and that would free them up to pick a really nice counter pick for whatever they're going, whatever their plan is for mid. And Queen of Pain doesn't struggle too much against Darkseer with a little bit of help, and definitely better than a lot of your melee carries who just can't do anything against Darkseer whatsoever. But CDEC Youth do end up going for the Winter Wyvern, which, I don't know. Earthshaker and Winter Wyvern to me always feels like a very defensive support duo. They don't have all that much potential to run around and go and get things done. Again, could still be offlane Earthshaker, and I think the Winter Wyvern, well, I think the Queen of Pain kind of makes up for the fact that individually maybe the Earthshaker and the Winter Wyvern aren't so amazing at ganking, but all you need is a little bit of disable, a little bit of slow, for the Queen of Pain to be tipped over the edge into finding pretty straightforward kills. So both teams still looking for their one position hero here. Hyperglory team could just fish for a little bit of information by picking up a secondary support. And looks like that's going to be the call here. So just grab onto the Rubik. There's some decent spells to steal. There's some mobility in the Blink. It's pretty difficult to get your hands on Fisher, but if you can get a hold of it, that's always fantastic. And Winter Wyvern's kit isn't too bad. I feel like we're still seeing a decent amount of Rubik this patch, though his performances are kind of hit or miss. It really does depend on whether or not the teamfight plays out in the right kind of way for you to get your hands on the right spells. This game, it looks like he's more than likely going to be played as a hard 5 as well, with the Bounty Hunter probably taking the 4 position. The Track Gold, of course, is going to help him get to that mobility item that he really needs to have a big impact, but we shall see what this Rubik can get done here. I guess does help out a little bit against a... Oh no, actually the Clockwork was banned out in the first 2. I was about to say, helps out a little bit against a potential Clockwork pickup from CDEC.Y, but that's certainly not happening. So what else is on the cards here? Hyperglory team still haven't really committed to anything core-wise, so what's good here? The Queen of Pain... Oh, they don't have a ton of lockdown for the Queen of Pain at the moment, which could be a little bit troublesome. Something like a Wind Ranger would be okay, aside from having to deal with the Cold Embrace from the Winter Wyvern, which makes it very difficult to find those quick pickoffs that you're often looking for as Windrunner. So it remains to be seen what they end up going for. If they want to take a very teamfight heavy approach, they could pick Puck, but Puck seems crazy weak right now. And well, I was mentioning Windrunner for Hyperglory team, but looks like CDEC.Y just going to be snatching that one up for themselves. So could end up being that safe lane Queen of Pain plus the mid Windrunner. If they really wanted to, they could run the Queen of Pain on the off lane. Maybe with a little bit of Earthshaker help potentially, and still have room to pick up another hero for the safe lane. Of course, that safe lane is going to be, well, the off lane for Hyperglory team is going to be Darkseer plus quite a bit of help, I would think, from the Bounty Hunters. So they do have to be a little bit careful about what they're grabbing to farm that safe lane. But I do like the Wind Ranger pickup here. What are they really vulnerable to? Core Silencer could be alright. Hyperglory team go for the Shadow Fiend. Okay, so they get a bit more 5-man going on. I'm not loving the Shadow Fiend's matchups here, but he does have the Bounty Hunter to roam in and try and help out, and he's always a catch-up hero, so that's always good. In terms of who's going to end up building what, I guess you're probably still just going to be seeing Darkseer go for the mech here. That's going to free up the Shadow Fiend to maybe just grab a little bit more survivability with his first few items. Head into a relatively early BKB. He does definitely need one this game against all the magical damage that CDEC.Y have right now. And the lockdown, I think, more importantly. There's still a decent amount of damage that's going to be going through BKB, Focus Fire from the Wind Ranger, Sonic Wave from the Queen of Pain, but a stunned Shadow Fiend is definitely not a happy Shadow Fiend. So, Ember ends up being the ban for CDEC. Hyperglory team are definitely, well, more than likely just looking for their one position hero at this stage. And CDEC can still do all kinds of things with their lineup. Again, I still think it's probably just Windrunner mid, Queen of Pain safe lane. But Bloodseeker ends up being the ban, so it looks like Hyperglory team just kind of trying to hedge their bets. Does the Bloodseeker ban suggest any particular hero? Not really. The one thing that is a little bit worrying, I think, about both teams' lineups is that they are a little bit squishy on the whole. Darkseer can become reasonably tanky, Shadow Fiend with some items can as well, but if CDEC Youth fall behind a little bit in the early parts of the game, it's not only going to be difficult to come back because they're up against track, it's also going to be difficult just because I think that the nature of their lineup is that they don't tank up all that quickly. But they grab a jug, and it looks like it is going to be just a pretty aggressive team fighting stance here from them. 5-manning is decent against the Bounty Hunter. He doesn't really bring a whole lot to team fights all by himself. You know, the Shuriken change, of course, helped out, but still doesn't really compare to a whole lot of other 4-position heroes. And it looks like Hyperglory team, kind of seeing that, just end up going for a Morphling here. So won't be able to get the split pushing Ember Spirit as it was banned out, but Morphling does a decent job split pushing himself. There is a fair amount of catch on the CDEC Youth side. Wind Ranger might be picking up a Blink Dagger at some point. Queen of Pain can always pick up an Orchid, Earthshaker, Blink, Winter Wyvern, ult from the trees, etc., etc. So it could be a bit tough for the Morphling to get a lot of split pushing done this game, but
10 seconds
it at least gives them some kind of angle if the Darkseer isn't doing all that well and they aren't really equipped to take team fights just yet. Anyway, looks like we've a little bit of loading in lag there, but we'll be able to get ourselves underway over at HGT. Let's do some introductions if we can. We've got Pretty Haw on the Bounty Hunter, Air on Shadow Fiend, HYM on Rubik, XDD on the Morphling, and Likas on the Darkseer. Meanwhile, for CDEC Youth, it's Inflame on the Queen of Pain. We've got Icy on Earthshaker, Demons on the Winter Wyvern, June on the Windrunner, and Ame on the Juggernaut. So I think a lot of people will recognize this CDEC Youth squad as the majority of the CIS roster that had black on it. And I think the Juggernaut player is the new addition for them. Bounty Hunter making his way down bot. Gonna place down a sneaky Observer Ward just around the corner here and see if he can scout anything out. Looks like CDEC are gonna be trying for this top rune. Their level 1 is pretty good, and looks like it's actually gonna be Wind Ranger in the off lane with the Queen of Pain kind of roughing up the Shadow Fiend. I mean, we've got one pulled sentry already, so the Bounty Hunter shouldn't be... Well, the Bounty Hunter's still gonna be a nuisance, but at least helps mitigate the annoyance somewhat. So looks like Shadow Fiend's just gonna duck down to bottom, grab the bounty there. Queen of Pain grabs at top. Looks like Earthshaker is gonna be heading back to block mid, so Quap is probably gonna get the lane position advantage here overall. I feel like Rubik probably could have blocked mid. He's not really accomplishing a whole lot here. XCD looks like he's already kind of got this under control. Yeah, they do come in and kind of grab it a little bit late, but looks like it's still gonna be advantage Queen of Pain at the start here. And yeah, almost a perfect block. And I love the way that sentry warding mid has kind of developed in terms of before you'd probably see people putting sentries right down in the lane, and now that we're getting to the point where Bounty Hunter is applying sentries. Darkseer had a lot of trouble bottom, actually getting spun down, gonna salve up and try for the loop around the tree. He's gonna get it. And we'll be able to keep on running. They saw that Ion Shell at level 1 and knew that he didn't have the surge to be able to escape, but now he's turning back around onto Demons, who's in some trouble. Level 2 coming in from the creep wave, surge out, and that's actually going to be your first blood going back the other way. Great snag for the Darkseer. That does not set a very nice tone for this bottom lane. And meanwhile, top lane, Wind Ranger also going to get forced out. Bounty Hunter starting out up there, and does lay in a little bit of damage, but double tango and a salve is the build for the Wind Ranger, so she's got plenty of regen, and looks like he should be alright. Rubik giving her a bit of a hard time though. But yeah, I think we're just getting to the point where people are placing their sentry wards as far back as they can so that they don't get immediately tangoed by the enemy team as they make their way in. Well, looks like Earthshaker's still just going to be chilling mid for the time being. Has he stacked anything up? He has not, so it looks like he's just been kind of keeping an eye on things here and looking for a Fisher opportunity to either find the kill on the Shadow Fiend or to protect from the Bounty Hunter. As expected, this is pretty much going to be a very Queen of Pain favored lane, but again, SF's a comeback hero. No stacks for him just yet, but I think he's going to be alright. Juggernaut's already running a little bit low on regen, just the 1 tango for him, and 3 tangos for the Winter Wyvern, so this Ion Shell harassment is slowly but surely going to add up, and you can already kind of see the damage being done just on his CS score, being forced to CS under the tower, CS against the Ion Shell, and is trailing behind the Morphling pretty substantially given that we're only 2.5 minutes into this game. Pretty hot, not too successful just yet with the rotations. Probably saw the sentry ward on the Queen of Pain at the start of mid, so knows that he does need to be a little bit careful with the way that he approaches here, and just comes in, scouting things out a little bit, but Earthshaker's still off the map, and he wants to play it nice and safe. So, Bounty Hunter not being all that effective so far. People have gotten very good and have become very diligent in terms of dealing with all the cheeky stuff that Bounty Hunter does in terms of roaming and sniping couriers. Though it turns out the track is still just so absurd that it doesn't even matter if Bounty Hunter... Well, most of the time it doesn't matter if Bounty Hunter does almost nothing in the early stages of the game. Eventually they're going to give him mid, because Shadow Fiend's going to go farm the jungle, or Darkseer's going to go farm the jungle, and Bounty Hunter's going to take bot, and he's going to get his level 6, and he'll probably be just fine. But do have to compliment CDEC on the way that they've been playing this so far, though. Pretty hard. Gets a little bit of extra burn damage. Ping comes out from the Juggernaut. I think he realizes that the Bounty Hunter is down here being a nuisance. So that should be a sign for the Queen of Pain to be able to play up a little bit more on the mid lane. And Shadow Fiend just gonna be stacking up for himself here, actually, and kind of getting out of the way. So looks like there might be a couple of missed CS here and there. Over on mid, Hasterun picked up for demons, but that's been scouted, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And Shadow Fiend not even gonna... did he clear that out? No. Okay, so not even gonna clear it out, just makes his way back mid. Is Earthshaker still level 1? You betcha. We've got the slow coming out, Sting as well, Inflame blinking in pretty aggressively for this one. Air quite low, but the deny! TP in from the Rubik, and it looks like Inflame's gonna be the one going down. What a play with the shift Q. Coming in from HYM, and it's a 1-for-1, but definitely not the 1-for-1 that CDEC was looking for there. Okay, so nicely played. Pretty Haw is that his own bottle? No, that's Air's bottle, so he's gonna pass that back over to him here as he TPs his way in. And 0-2 lead. That's the other thing to point out. I think it was 2 patches ago now, or 2 Reborn patches ago, that they changed it so that denies no longer count, denies and suicides no longer count as kills on the top scoreboard. I'm sure that's gonna bother the stats people out there a little bit, because that's definitely gonna change KDAs and whatnot a little bit, or at least I guess game averages. But oh well, it's good to see. CDEC are, for all intents and purposes, not on the board. Pretty hard coming in, puts down a ward, gets immediately dewarded, gives away the fact that he's there, so he's not going to be all that happy about that. Does spot this stack, however, and a very sneaky Darkseer is going to come over so that they can start working away at this, and CDEC none the wiser. It's going to be a bunch of experience going the way of HGT, and Darkseer already level 6 off of this. I think he stole the stack that was over in the medium camp as well earlier. So lots of levels coming in for the DS. Meanwhile, we've got some stack scouting going on here from the side of CDEC as well. So we got smokes on stacks going on, but looks like CDEC not going to stick around and try and clear that one out. And Shadow Fiend's still going to be the one to benefit from the stack that he set up for himself earlier. I was worried about the Bounty Hunter's start, and I thought that he was going to have to get his level 6 almost exclusively off of farming up mid, but well, stealing that big stack has been a huge boon for him, and he's actually almost level 5 already, so things are looking great. See that here. Fisher comes out, Air a little bit low off of clearing that, and I'm just going to commit the Sonic Wave, make 100% sure that they find that kill. Nice ward placed down earlier with the rotation. It looks like they weren't going to steal the stack. They were hoping for the bigger prize of getting the Shadow Fiend when he went for it. So CDEC now on the board at the very least. This offlane Windrunner I think leaves a little bit to be desired this game. She's got alright CS, but we'll have to see what kind of an impact she can have moving in towards the mid game. The Queen of Pain can roam a decent amount and maybe free up a little bit of space for the Windranger to grab some farm, but it's been a while since I've seen an offlane Windranger, so we'll see how it performs here. And Flame duking it out, triple raise out of air on mid lane, and that's going to drive the Quap all the way back. Had a regenerate bottled earlier, but I think used it after the successful gank, so will not have that one available. 8-minute rune's going to be popping up soon. June looking for it, and he is going to be able to grab it pretty hot. Unfortunately, just a little bit too slow on the draw there. And Pretty Hot actually looks like going to get scouted out here by June. Gets shackled up, but do they have any way to see him? They do not. Alright, so just going to get a ward down. How much does this actually see? Alright, that's sneaky. I think that's new. That's got to be some new warding technology. Alright, so I don't even, can you even see this from any of the other angles? Like if you were the Radiant and you had a sentry ward right over here, I don't think you would actually be able to see this. I know that the ward that we saw during TI, that I think a lot of people were kind of hyped about was the, oh, what's going on here? It looks like just a bottle, not even a bottle refill, just a bottle sip going to the Rubik. But this ward over here, that you could kind of place from the high ground and get vision over the mid lane, this is about as good and way more difficult to de-ward. I mean, let's see if Icy can get this. Nope. Sentry number 1, sentry number 2. It's in range of both of them. They knew that the Bounty Hunter had observers if they'd clicked his inventory quickly enough when he made his way up there, but no dice, and poor Piggy Courier. Looks like he's about to fall to the Bounty Hunter. 1 auto attack, 2 auto attacks. Easy Courier kill. Icy does still have a Dust in reserve, but he used his sentry wards earlier, and Pretty Hot is going to get away totally scot-free. So almost level 6. Track going to be coming up pretty soon. Jug and Quap are still the lead farmers on the map right now, despite the deficit in terms of kills. The net worth still slightly in favor of HGT overall, as is experience. In terms of items, Air not really committing to anything just yet, has been slowed down a bit by that death. And Darkseer actually deciding that his game is going well enough that screw it, he's just going to go for a Midas. So he's actually the most farmed hero on his team here, between stealing the medium camp stack and the big stack. Alright, so Midas Darkseer inbounds. I think this is fair enough. I think HGT are right to be pretty confident with the way that their late game shapes up if things keep going this way, but CDEC are looking to turn the tides as they come in here with the smoke. Double damage bottled up on the Windrunner. No point in the focus fire just yet, however, but it's also Juggernaut on the roam. Has the Omni Slash at the ready, so it looks like a bit of a pick into a push on the way. We've got the line drawn by the Shadow Fiend. He's suspicious of what's going on here, and looks like it's Rubik is going to tank this gank. Omni Slash ends up being used as well. I think a bit of an overcommitment there from the Jug, but they do find the pick off on the Rubik, and looks like they should be able to pick up this tower. And in the meantime, Morphling going to do some damage to top lane. Aquila turned on and ready to go, and Bounty Hunter and Darkseer looking down towards bottom. I don't think Winter Wyvern's shown in this lane for a little bit, because otherwise they might be putting on a little bit more pressure here. But tier 1 goes down, and CDEC just gonna head back to farming positions. The Darkseer wants to take this tier 1 tower down relatively soon, I think, if he can, just so that he opens up the Radiant jungle to start grabbing some additional farm. Got the Windrunner replicate scooting away on top, which is actually a pretty big deal because XCD has TP'd back to fill up his bottle, and will be replicating back towards top lane. So if Quap had managed to kill that in time, Would have been pretty nice, but there's absolutely zero chance that you're committing a Sonic Wave. And there's Track. Alright, Demons is still trying to hold on to this bottom lane all by his lonesome, but does his team have the TPs to help him out? Jug TP on cooldown, Windrunner TP on cooldown, Quap is ready to go, and Earthshaker is ready to go, but I think Demons might just need to get the hell out of here. Yeah, tower's still pretty healthy, Glyph is still available, but
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
what can he really do? The absolute cheekiest play is to try an Arctic Burn to get the bonus attack range to deny the tower, and then still be hiding over in the trees so that you can TP out. But Jug's walked down to bottom, so it looks like he's at least a little bit interested in taking some kind of a fight here. The Midas Darkseer does kind of prevent HGT from committing too heavily here, but yeah, they apply some pressure, they get some rotations, and XCD is going to be able to grab this tower over on top. Damage being dealt by June. Inflame gonna come jumping into. They have the burst. Yes, they do. Tried for the TP out, knowing that the Shackle was on cooldown, but did not anticipate that Inflame was just around the corner. Well, I don't know about that TP. Did he not have enough mana to just kind of run over here and waveform over the tree line and run for it? Could have also just sent the replicate away
Dire's top
and
tower
waveformed and TP'd. Maybe he didn't have the mana.
Middle tower is under
But anyway, so CDEC gonna pick up that kill and look towards this tier 1 tower. Mid lane's where the pressure is being applied by HGT right now. A little bit of spam coming out. He's gonna make Air think twice about pushing any further. There's still the Glyph available for the Radiant. Glyph's been used by the Dire, but it looks like this tier 1 tower is going to be going down no matter what. And CDEC starting to build up a little bit more of a lead here, though the graph continues to be somewhat topsy-turvy. Rubik does manage to get his hands on the Fissure, so a really nice steal there for him. Pretty hard just scouting things out. Does he have any tracks up at the moment? He does not. And Dust comes out, but Bounty Hunter's just a little bit too far away, unfortunately. Pretty hard dodges the bullet there. June trying for the TP out here, but the stolen Fissure is going to end up canceling it. Did they even know that they stopped the TP? They do now. Track's going to come out. We're doing a running for the hills, but there is a Surged Darkseer coming in as well. 2 points up in the vacuum. 3 points in the Shuriken Toss and another Fissure. It's going to be an easy track kill. I don't know if they let Darkseer get in range for that, but maybe he did. How much did he get? No, okay, Darkseer got zilch for that kill, so they could have waited around a little bit for him. That's assuming that the Reborn fight recap is not bugged. And I think at this stage it is not fair to assume that anything in Reborn is not bugged. So I'm gonna say that Darkseer didn't get the gold there, but I'm not sure. Stranger things have definitely happened, and have happened in the last 24 hours. But Darkseer's got 2.4k gold, so the world is his oyster in terms of what he's going to be picking up here. Morphling had a replicate up a little bit earlier, but is now somewhat vulnerable as the Invis Queen of Pain is stalking things out here. Rubik's just hidden over here in the tree line. And does have the Fissure at the ready to help out. XD just gonna steal himself with a little bit of extra strength. Inflame comes running around the corner. Fissure comes out from both directions. XD in some trouble. Morphing strength all the while. Shadowfiend's gonna come in, but won't be laying any auto attacks into his teammate. Just starts forcing back the creep wave here. Rubik with another steal. Track onto Demons in the middle of everyone and will be bursted down. That's a 5-man track kill for HGT. I'm just waiting over in the trees right now. I think hoping that HGT push a little bit further forward, but if he waits too long, his opportunity is going to be gone to actually get anything done here. Icy making the same kind of play here. Juggernaut does need to be a little bit careful. Power Shot going to come out and slow things somewhat, but Pretty Hard just continues to look for tracks. And do HGT actually have their mech? They do in fact have the mech completed, though it's on cooldown for about another 20 seconds. Inflames blinked a little bit further down. Pretty Hard actually going to end up being randomly fissured. They drop everything on the Rubik just to blow him up. Back into the wall, puts Earthshaker in some trouble, but he is going to be saved here by Demons. The wall illusion's actually tanking up the majority of the Omni Slash, but Air still dies. So one last auto attack. Spin coming in as well. We're looking for Pretty Hall. Looks like he will be able to get it. That's a double so far for the Jug. Morphling now in some trouble. Does have the waveform to get out of there, but the Shackle to cancel. I don't think wave into TP was... Well, he probably would have died if he just tried to run, but adds an extra 100 gold of value to the kill there for CDEC, and they get 4 for nothing in that fight. Not a single person going down, not a single track kill forfeited, and even the Earthshaker, who was right in the midst of everything, somehow manages to survive. And that was even with a pretty unimpressive Omni Slash, so... I guess a big part of it for HGT is that they have so much net worth on Darkseer, yet that Darkseer net worth basically did nothing in that fight. I mean, as much as he has a Blink and a Midas, what did it do? He vacuumed 2 heroes together and put down a wall. His net worth didn't really change any part of what he contributed there, so... Well, if we say that all of a sudden CDEC are actually at a 7k gold advantage, then I think that fight makes a little bit more sense, but... Yeah, I think we're gonna really have to wait to see this Darkseer build paying off. Pipe, not a terrible choice, heading a little bit further forward. Could even see a Glimmer Cape out of him. What else? Force Staff is good. I think a fairly utility-oriented approach is not terrible. The Shadow Fiend might end up going for a Blink Dagger as well, so we could see some big vacuum into Requiem combos a little bit later on, but for the time being, yeah, the Darkseer is a little bit underwhelming in team fights. Still good for counter push, still good for being really cheeky with the Bounty Hunter Ion Shells, but CDEC just continuing to 5-man and continuing to exploit sort of the team fight weakness of this Darkseer, the Bounty Hunter somewhat. Yeah, Inflame getting scouted out, but he's got another Sonic Wave at the ready, has his Aghanim Scepter up as well. XCD doing his best to just pushing down on bottom lane. Has just picked up a Yasha, so nothing really too big on this Morphling just yet, but slow but steady wins the race. They've got the tier 1 bot at the very least, so they've opened up the Radiant jungle for the Darkseer or the Morphling to be able to farm up, though of course the same can be said for CDEC as they've taken the tier 1 tower over on the top side, so pretty even farm trade overall right now, and yeah, net worth and experience both plateauing a little bit as I miss a kill 100% on bottom lane. Inflame coming down and just gets cleaned up. They dropped everything on him, actually. Wall got used. I guess they don't really have a whole lot else, but yeah, wall ends up being dropped. Jug pushing out top lane with his Battle Fury in hand. Couple of heroes waiting behind, ready to help him up, but Pretty High is going to come in and scout things out somewhat. Icy already on the escape, and looks like Demons is going to be joining him in just a couple of seconds. They head down bot, in fact. That was a pretty long TP, but just going to be joining up with the rest of the team. There is a double damage waiting right outside the Roshan pit. Do they have wards to place? Well, they're going to smoke right on top of a ward, unfortunately. So, let's see what they do here. This could actually be alright for them, because if HGT misread this and they think, oh man, they're running at us, they're going to come gank us mid and they want the tower, and instead while HGT are all just hugging the tower and playing safe, they're actually in the Roshan pit. Looks like they've sussed this out, but the double damage is making very quick work of this. And there is a medallion on the Wind Ranger, in fact, so Inflame's going to come blinking in. They've already got the Aegis and HGT. Are they still going to try and make something happen here? Pretty hard going to scout things out somewhat, but not even going to get a track out. So, looks like Jug's going to be picking up an S&Y pretty soon. He's actually huge. The Juggernaut didn't really get pressured all that much by the Darkseer in lane, and this Battle Fury farm is going very quickly. Actually, 3-0 and 1 is the scoreline for the Jug so far, so I guess it makes sense that he's so farmed. Pretty hard back behind the tower. June does need to be a little bit careful. Mech's still on cooldown for about 10 seconds, but Power Shot is going to delay this long enough that Inflame can get into position. Looks like Inflame actually will kill on the top lane. Jug just straight up Omni slashing the Darkseer, and that is the end of him. How did that even happen? Did Jug pick up a rune? Nope. Oh, pretty hard, getting scouted out a little bit. Actually, only gonna find the ward here. Sentry's just a little bit out of range to do anything about the bounty hunter. Yeah, I don't know how Darkseer died like that, but anyway. Jug is gonna Omni Slash him down and just go back to farming. Windrunner is casually hitting mid with very little backup, but HGT don't know that because unfortunately all of their wards are being pretty quickly dealt with. XCD waiting up on the high ground, putting some damage down onto Icy, but there's Chain Stun coming in. Not the best stacking with the Shackle and the Echo Slam. XCD's still alive. They're going to drop the Winter's Curse. They need to make 100% sure that they get this kill. The Requiem comes out with the vacuum back into the wall. Big damage onto CDEC. June's not dead just yet. Inflame still has the Aegis, but he's going to keep on running. Healing Ward doing some work, helping to keep the Windrunner alive, and it's actually just the 2 supports down so far. A couple more Bottle Sips and some Wand Charges will keep Inflame alive and keep that Aegis up. XCD hunting for the courier, but not going to be able to find it. Alright, so it looked a little bit disastrous after they dropped everything on the Morphling and couldn't kill him, but HGT just not quite able to finish anybody off. It looks like they should be able to grab this tier 1. Jug's gonna come running in, doesn't have Omni Slash for 30 seconds, but he's just gonna start chopping away. Big damage dealt to air, and Inflame comes running in, has the Sonic Wave at the ready, a couple of stings coming out. Waits for the Jug to close the gap. Sonic Wave's there. Looks like air's gonna be finished off. And Darkseer is just gonna be leaving him behind as he runs back to the base. And Healing Ward's back up, so CDEC more than ready just to continue pushing. Didn't even lose the Aegis there. I can't check when the Aegis is gonna fade because it's bugged, but I think they still have a little while left with it. I mean, I guess they got it. Okay, so there you go. Game's answering my questions for me. 2 minutes to go on the Aegis, and CDEC already chopping away at the high ground here. Darkseer has a wall up in 10 seconds. Does have the blink back available, but CDEC just do not care. All 3 cores stacked right on top of one another. Shackle going back onto the Rubik. Omni Slash coming out. Is it going to bounce further on? It won't. Rubik surviving for the time being. But that's a quick death for XDD. Inflame looking for the cleanup there. Is going to be able to find it. Still has that Aegis. Vacuum back into the wall, but there's an immediate spin out from the Juggernaut. Inflame getting caught somewhat, but they drop the Winter's Curse onto the Darkseer. And a Fissure will secure the retreat. Have they used the Healing Ward? They have. So it's going to take another 15 seconds, but they chopped all the way through the tier 3. Got half of the health on the melee barracks. And I'll still have the Aegis intact to maybe make one more attempt at the high ground. They might just end up going for a tier 2, because at this point, if they pick up another tier 2, then they can just push this lane and sort of, well, push whichever lane and potentially pick up mid for free. But we'll have to see. Shadow Fiend, not all that farm, just completing his BKB now. But the last few teamfights have not been kind. CDEC going to push out to about a 4k net worth lead and about a 5k, well, drifting towards 7.5k experience lead right now. And Jug just continues to get stacked. I feel like I haven't seen a Battle Fury Juggernaut in a while, but Ame's making a really good case for it right now. And I feel like I was also a little bit skeptical about this June Windrunner, but got us farm. They had some successful team fights. It's not the crazy right-clicking core Windrunner build that we're used to at the moment, but Solar Crest is solid. They've got a mech, which they wouldn't really have been able to put into the lineup otherwise. And also worth, I guess, going back to the draft, it was a little bit of a deny pick as well. Darkseer trying to surge away, but the Eul's is going to stop that. There's a Shackle coming out, but it won't latch to anything. Sonic Wave is cooling down, and it's going to go out over 4 heroes. June's still very healthy, and in comes the Juggernaut joining the fight at long last. BKB is going to get popped by air, but that won't even come close to saving him as XCD gets chopped down. Pops the Ghost Scepter, but HGT in shambles, retreating back to their bases. The rest of CDEC is even yet to arrive. It's just the 3 core heroes working together there, but more than enough to find those kills, and more than enough to start making their way up onto the high ground. Darkseer does have buyback available, but Shadowfiend's not alive, and even if Shadowfiend were alive,
Are under attack.
he doesn't have his BKB available, so not a heck of a lot they're going to be able to do here. Tier 2, of course, does still stand in both bot and on top. We got a Sonic Wave coming out. No kill just yet in Flame. Just driving some people back. We've got Crossed Fissures coming out.
Dire's bottom
Darkseer
tower
looking
is
for at
under
least
attack.
one. Is going to be able to get the Vacuum back onto Icy. And they should hopefully be able to get this kill. Drops out the Fissure and going to head into the trees, but Fissure comes right back the other way and finishes him off.
Dire's
Okay, so they lose the
bottom tower is
Earthshaker.
under
I don't.
attack.
Was he even tracked? I don't think so.
Dire's bottom tower
Pretty hard getting spotted off to the side. 2 chops is going to be all that it takes for Juggernaut to finish him off. And now they're coming in. Omnislash is on cooldown. They get the vac into the Fissure with the wall down, but CDEC just going to run away. There's no follow-up, really. Arctic Burn stolen. Looks like Demon's in a little bit of trouble. Looks for the Winter's Curse, but not quite able to turn around in time. Juggernaut, 5 seconds until he'll be able to re-engage with the Omnislash. Inflame shows no fear. Blinks over the top. Sonic Wave to finish off the Rubik. And Juggernaut just slices through. Unfortunately, Omni bouncing onto that Queen of Pain illusion, so... Wait, how did... Oh, right, the illusion has a Solar Crest, right. I was like, how did Jug miss those hits? But... anyway. Another lost fight for HGT. Shadowfiend dead for another 40 seconds. Glyph unavailable.
Bottom tower is under
Darkseer
attack.
does have a BKB of his own now, but it's seeming like it's not gonna matter. Juggernaut is head and shoulders above everybody on HGT. He's actually about to double up all of the cores on net worth right now. XCD comes jumping in, but just gets blown up. Did he waveform? I don't even know. Anyway, that is going to be the end of him, and that is going to be the end of this game as HGT are just going to tap out and CDEC secure their second win, going 2-0 so far here in Group A of the group stage portion of the Nanyang China qualifiers. We've got one more game coming up this evening, guys, so make sure to stick around. That is going to be another CDEC Young game as they face up against Newbie Young, which is actually a pretty big deal. Oh no, Newbie 1 are 1-1, but should still be a pretty good match, so I hope you guys will stick around. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.